My father's funeral was held on a gray Thursday morning in October. The kind of day where the sky looks like concrete and the wind cuts through your coat. Victor Hartley had been a difficult man. Brilliant, wealthy, demanding, but he'd been my father. Catherine stood beside me during the service, her hand occasionally touching my arm in what looked like comfort, but felt rehearsed. We'd been married for 4 years, and she'd mastered the art of appearing supportive while remaining distant. My father had never liked Catherine. "She's with you for the wrong reasons, Daniel," he'd said a month before he died. "Just wait, you'll see." I defended her, told him he was being unfair, that Catherine loved me. He just smiled sadly. "We'll see what she does when I'm gone." The wake was held at his estate. Catherine moved through the rooms with practiced grace, playing the grieving daughter-in-law perfectly. My father's lawyer, Bernard Whitmore, approached me in the library. "Daniel, I need to schedule the reading of the will. Tomorrow morning?" "Tomorrow?" Catherine appeared beside me, suddenly interested. "Isn't that quite soon?" "Your father-in-law was very specific about timing. Within 48 hours. 10 o'clock works," I said. "Both of you need to be there." Bernard looked at Catherine meaningfully. "It's quite important." After he left, Catherine's demeanor shifted. The grief mask slipped. "Do you think he left you much?" "I haven't thought about it." "Well, I have. We've been living in that tiny apartment for 4 years while your father sat on a fortune. It's only fair we get something." That night, Catherine couldn't sleep. I heard her pacing, checking her phone, doing calculations on her laptop. The grief had evaporated completely. I lay awake, too, thinking about my father's last words. "I've made sure everything is taken care of. Trust the process, son." Bernard Whitmore's office smelled like old leather and expensive wood polish. Catherine arrived in a new designer black dress, hair freshly done. For a grieving daughter-in-law, she looked remarkably put together. Bernard sat behind his desk, my father's will before him, a thick folder with multiple sections tabbed and marked. "Victor's estate is substantial and complex. The total, after taxes and charitable donations, amounts to approximately $847 million. I felt the number hit like physical weight. Catherine's eyes went wide, breath catching. "The estate is divided into categories. First, charitable bequests totaling $150 million. Catherine's face flickered with disappointment. "Second, provisions for staff and family friends, approximately $77 million distributed among 37 individuals. More disappointment. The pie was shrinking. "Third," he looked directly at Catherine, "there is a direct bequest to Catherine Marie Hartley, wife of Daniel Hartley, in the amount of $120 million. The words hung in the air. Catherine went absolutely still, not breathing, not moving. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "Did you say $120 million? To you, directly. Not to Daniel, not jointly. To you as an individual." I watched my wife transform. Shock became calculation, became euphoria. Her hands shook as she pressed them against the desk. "Why?" I asked. "He didn't even like her." "Your father was very clear about his reasoning. It's explained in his letter. But first, let me finish." Catherine wasn't listening. I could see her mind working, calculating what $120 million meant. Freedom. Escape. "To my son Daniel, I leave the remainder of the estate, approximately $500 million, under conditions and trusts structured for long-term stability." Catherine had stopped listening entirely. She was staring at her hands like they turned to gold. "There are additional provisions, but I think we should discuss the letters now. Victor wrote separate letters to each of you." He gave us sealed envelopes in my father's handwriting. "I'll give you privacy to read these. I'll be in the conference room." I opened my envelope slowly. 3 pages, handwritten. "Daniel, if you're reading this, Bernard has just told Catherine she's inherited $120 million. I imagine she's quite pleased. Let me explain what I've done and why. Catherine married you for money. I knew it from the first time I met her. You didn't see it because you loved her. So I decided to give her exactly what she wanted. $120 million. More money than she ever dreamed of. everything she thought marrying you would provide. But the money comes with conditions. Strict, legally binding conditions she cannot break without forfeiting everything. I've given you the real inheritance. The business, the properties, the investments. But more than that, I've given you the truth about your wife. You'll see her true character in the next 24 hours. Trust Bernard. Love always. Dad. I looked up. Catherine was reading her letter, the expression shifting from joy to confusion to panic. When she finished, she just sat there, face completely white. "What does yours say?" I asked. She handed me the letter with shaking hands. "Catherine, congratulations. You've just inherited $120 million. Here are the terms. 1. You must remain married to Daniel for 5 years from today. 2. You cannot file for divorce or legal separation. 3. You must live with Daniel and maintain a joint household. 4. If Daniel files for divorce, you keep the full inheritance. 5. If you file for divorce, initiate separation, or abandon the marriage, you forfeit every penny. 6. The money is held in irrevocable trust. You cannot access the principal for 5 years. You will receive $50,000 monthly for living expenses. After 5 years, if you are still married to Daniel, the full amount becomes yours with no restrictions. I knew what you were from the moment you brought you home. This is your test. You can have the money, all of it, if you can manage to be a wife for 5 years. Or you can leave now and get nothing. Choose carefully. Victor Hartley. I read it twice, then looked at Catherine, who was staring at the desk like it might swallow her. "He trapped me," she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "He gave you exactly what you wanted. You just have to earn it." Catherine left Bernard's office without speaking. She got in her car and drove away. I didn't hear from her for 6 hours. I spent that time going through my own inheritance details. My father had been meticulous. Everything structured for long-term growth, charitable giving, responsible management. Not just an inheritance, but a legacy. And he'd given Catherine a choice. She came home that evening. I was in our small apartment, the place she'd complained about for 4 years. I talked to 3 lawyers. They all said the same thing. The trust is ironclad. Okay. Do you understand what he did? He dangled $120 million knowing I'd want to leave, knowing it would kill me to stay. He gave you a choice. Stay married for 5 years and get more money than most people see in lifetimes. Or leave now with nothing. That's not a choice. That's manipulation. Is it? You've been planning to leave anyway, haven't you? The only question was timing. He just made the calculation clearer. She sank onto the couch, head in her hands. I can't do this. I can't pretend for 5 years. Then don't. I walked to the window. Leave tonight. Walk away. I won't stop you. But I'd lose everything. You'd lose $120 million you never had in the first place. Money my father earned, not you. Money he's offering if you can manage to be my wife for 5 years. She looked up, and I saw her clearly for the first time. Not the woman I'd loved, but the woman my father had seen all along. Someone who'd married a number, not a person. What are you going to do? She asked. Live my life? Build the business my father left me? Probably move into something nicer? Something I can afford now. You can come with me or not. Your choice. If you divorce me, I keep the money.
I know, but I won't divorce you just to give you an easy out. If you want to leave, you'll have to do it. And live with the consequences. Catherine stayed that night. And the next. She's still here 6 months later, living in the new house I bought, driving a car I paid for, wearing jewelry funded by my inheritance. She doesn't talk about the $120 million in trust. Doesn't mention the monthly $50,000 she receives, but has to account for in detailed expense reports. Sometimes I catch her staring at nothing, doing calculations. How much longer? What she'll do when 5 years are up? Whether she can last. My father was right. He didn't leave me money, he left me truth. The gift of seeing my wife clearly. And he left Catherine a choice. Be a wife for 5 years, or walk away from more money than she'd ever dreamed of. 4.5 years to go. We'll see what she chooses, but I already know the answer. My father knew it too. Some people can't see past dollar signs long enough to recognize love. And $120 million makes a very effective mirror for showing someone exactly who they are. Catherine looks in that mirror every day, and I watch her realize, over and over, that my father didn't trap her. He just gave her enough rope to reveal whether she'd use it to climb or to hang herself. The 5-year clock is ticking, and every day she decides whether she's going to be a wife or a gold digger. My father's final lesson wasn't about wealth. It was about character. And that's worth more than any inheritance.